Welcome to Spectrum Perspectives, real talk with parents, professionals, and autism advocates, with your host, Cindy Gellermini.
Hi, everyone. This is Cindy with another episode of Spectrum Perspectives. And today I have Tracy Slepcevic on the show. Hi, Tracy. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So Tracy is an author, and she's very busy these days with some things that we're going to talk about, some very exciting things coming up. But let's start from the very beginning, like I do with every interview. Let's go back to the beginning with your son. You have a son that was diagnosed with autism. And what is his name and how old is he?
So his name is Noah, and he is 20 years old now. He'll be 21 this year.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go back 21 years. When you were pregnant with Noah and you went to doctor's visits, were there any kind of red flags that told you something may, not be normal?
No, not at all.
Okay. And how about the birth and delivery? Did that go okay?
It was brutal.
Oh.
I got to be honest with you. So Noah was a 9-pound baby and he was posterior. So they typically say when a baby is posterior, you can almost double their weight.
Yes, I had one of those.
I mean, I'm not 100% for C-sections, but I think my kid really needed to be a C-section. And they induced me because he was so big. But during that, while I was only on Pitocin maybe for an hour, and Noah's heart rate was all over the place. So they had to take me off Pitocin. But then I was actually contracting on my own. So they didn't need to keep me on Pitocin. But they were monitoring heart rates. They broke my water. And I had no epidural. I had one in, but it was never turned on. So during childbirth, I literally pushed until my eyes swelled shut and every blood vessel in my face broke. But Noah was stuck. They did use forceps to get him out, and I was literally sitting there arguing with my doctor in the process of giving birth. And he's sitting there across from me with his arms folded. Do you want this baby out? And I'm like, please don't hurt him. I'm crying. And, it was super brutal. And then when Noah was born, we did lose his heart rate. He was stuck in the birth canal for so long because he was posterior and he was stuck. I had literally every nurse in the whole labor and delivery in my room, half saying, well, we're ready to take her off to C-section. The other half is like, she's pushing. And then he did a last minute episiotomy. Oh my gosh. And you're talking, I wasn't on any drugs or numbing or epidural, nothing.
Oh,
and
nothing to numb you down there?
No.
Yikes.
No, it was last minute emergency. And I just screamed bloody murder.
Mm-hmm.
So finally they got Noah out. I think it was a blessing in disguise that my eyes were swollen shut. Because I'm like, is he okay? Is he okay? Does he have 10 fingers, 10 toes? And I couldn't hear anything. And then finally, he came to, but then he had to be taken off to the NICU right away. So I didn't get to hold my baby. They did not vaccinate.
Whoops.
They did not give him anything at the hospital. My husband was with him the whole time in regards to safety, right? I just, as a mom, as a new mom, I had to know that Noah was okay as I'm being sewn up and still screaming in pain. I don't know what it was with that doctor that just didn't understand that, let me cut you down there. And so you back up with being numbed. So at that point, I mean, my concern and one and only concern was Noah and his safety. He did look like, a boxer when he came out. He had 2 black eyes. He had a cut underneath his eye. So he was pretty banged up, but he had normal development. The first 18 months of his life, he walked early, he crawled early, that kid was so mobile, it was unreal. And if he couldn't crawl there before he could crawl, he would roll there. So, but then, after that 18-month well baby visit, Noah developed measles. And then,
He developed the measles. That's backwards.
yes, yes. So he,
That visit is to prevent the measles,
yes, that
right?
visit is to prevent the measles.
Mm,
And
okay.
he actually got it. So, just because, they get those things doesn't mean that it actually
Jabs.
prevents
Yeah.
them from getting the
Mhm.
virus.
Mhm.
So, and he received the 4 that day.
Mhm.
And soon after, full body rash. I was told that it was just a normal rash and a reaction, but I had a picture of it from way back when, and I had shown my functional medicine doctor, and she's like, that's measles. So, and then I saw this slow decline. My son, who we used to call our monkey, I mean, he would climb everything, could no longer climb, lost a lot of motor skills, couldn't jump off 2 feet, and lost all his speech. He had all his, baby words, everything was perfectly timed, and all of it was gone. And then some cognitive function, just so it was blank stares, screaming and crying because he couldn't communicate. And that regression that
He had words before this?
he did
Okay. And then he lost it?
all of it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And my story isn't unique. It's not a story of one parent. It's the story of thousands of parents, unfortunately, that same thing. Some of them, yes, develop measles as well. And it's just a crazy, and it's not a coincidence. It's not a normal thing, because I was told this is normal when I'm like, why is my child regressing?
Mhm.
And the pediatrician's like, oh, this is normal. It's just
Mhm.
normal. Everything was normal. If I had $1 for every time she said it was normal, I'd be pretty wealthy.
All right.
And so then, I just went about my merry way, still doing those well baby visits, and questioning. And then I had 2 preschools tell me my kid had special needs. We can't care for him. I had a regional center who lost my paperwork, was supposed to forward it on to a clinical psychologist, and a pediatrician that just kept telling me everything was normal. So it was,
So the pediatrician says everything's normal, but when you put him in a preschool, they said he has special needs.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then my
Mhm.
first evaluation with the regional center was with a therapist with a master's degree who was so frustrated with my child because he was running around, flickering the lights on and off, wouldn't sit still for her, and kept screaming at her. So afterwards, the only thing she could tell me, she's like, wow, he won't sit still. It's hard to evaluate him, yada, yada, yada. So
How
either
old was he then? Like around 2?
he was 2.
Mhm.
And she's like, either he has severe autism or severe ADHD. And I'm like, and she walks out.
Mhm.
Like, you don't just say that to a parent and then walk out.
Mhm.
So the little Detroit girl in me wanted to stick my foot up her derriere, but I'm like, I'm never coming back here again. So the fact that they lost my paperwork, it was like, but he needed a proper evaluation. He needed a clinical diagnosis. So I tell parents all the time, if you have a child that you even remotely think that they could have autism, you need a clinical psychologist to evaluate your child. Pediatrician is not qualified. Therapist is not qualified. A therapist of any kind, whether it be behavioral, mental, whatever. It has to be clinical, because that's their job, is diagnosing, mental disorders. So from there, I know Noah turned 3. And I asked that question to the pediatrician, is it possible my kid could have autism? And Noah is sitting there, with her stethoscope spinning round and round and round and round and round. Repetitive play, very common in a child with autism. Nope, he's doing pretend play. Kids with autism don't do pretend play, so he's fine. He just needs speech. We just got to get that kid some speech. And I'm like, okay, so speech didn't work. I'm here to tell you. Didn't help with the repetitive play either, because my kid used to sit in front of a fan and just watch it go round and round and round and round. That was, things that went round, spinning, stacking, lining. It was just, screaming at me 24/7, all of it, but no answers. And I didn't put two and two together, and I never listened to the news. This was, Noah was born in 2005. So, what's out now was not out then. And I had to, figure it out for myself. But in those beautiful moments, I say God always sent me angels. And one day this woman came to work for my husband, and I walked into the office, and I'm literally in tears because the second preschool is like, I'm sorry, but your kid's gotta go. Like,
Mhm.
and she just asked me what's wrong, and I told her, and she said, well, this is what you need to do. And lo and behold, she had a son with autism, and told me he's 3 now, so you need to go through the school district, have him evaluated through the school district. Here's the number, here's where you need to go. She laid it all out for me, and then she was gone. It was like she was there and gone. And I say, just a beautiful angel that came into my life to direct me on where to go and what to do, when I was literally just at my wit's end, asking God for some sort of assistance. And then we took him to Launch Preschool. And that was the special needs preschool in our district, which they were fabulous. I got lucky. And they did a very thorough evaluation, and it was about 3 hours long. There was a clinical psychologist. No, it was a child psychologist, special education teacher, physical therapist, occupational therapist, and speech therapist. So we covered all the basics, right? So they took Noah in the other room and they evaluated him while we answered, a million questions with the child psychologist. And then, they came together, they met for about 20, 30 minutes, and then they came back in and they said, very sorry to say, but we do find that your son is autistic-like. You have to use that autistic-like because they're not in the position to diagnose.
And this was the child study team from school?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I took that report, and it was a full-on, very thorough report. And I went back to the regional center, and I did get Noah a full diagnosis with a clinical psychologist. And from there, regional center never gave me anything that was worth going through them for. I still to this day struggle with the regional center because, my conference, for instance. So last year they denied me vendorship, and then so many people asked to come to my conference that one lady was like, well, have you thought about being a vendor? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, well, let's hurry up and push this through so all these, parents can get paid for. And then she told me it was for 3 years this year, where they're like, we've revoked your vendorship because your information is not scientifically based.
Who
Not
is
that,
this regional center? What are they?
so regional center is like your state facility that you would go through in regards to receiving any type of state services for your child, including a proper evaluation.
This is in the state of California.
So in California, it's regional centers, might be called something different in other states. But
Yeah, because
it's,
I've never heard of it here in New Jersey.
yeah. Um, So it's, it's your
All right, so
your
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. That it was something about being a vendor for 3 years and then they revoked it, or
oh
that's,
yeah. Just
and this is for what? To be there as what? As an author of your book
so
or what?
if you have your child in the system through the regional center, they should actually pay for you to attend a conference. Um,
Okay.
if it
That they host, a conference that they host,
no.
just any conference?
So you could say, I want to go to this conference, that's on autism. I have a child with autism, and the regional center should pay for it. But I would have to be, as a conference, a host, I would have to be vendorized with the regional center for them to,
Oh, okay. So for you and your business, you want to host a conference and
no,
you
I
want,
host a conference.
I'm just saying hypothetically.
Oh,
I'm saying
so
hypothetically,
yes,
you want to host a conference, and if you want them to pay for other parents to come to your conference, you have to be one of their registered vendors.
yes.
Got it.
And I was,
You were okay.
and that was automatically removed. So at
How long
first,
ago was this that we're talking about?
oh, just
This
this
was
year.
recently.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I had my vendor number, and I was
Okay.
told it was good for 3 years,
Okay.
and I gave it to parents. And then I reached out and I'm like, parents aren't successful with this vendor number. Can you tell me what's wrong? And she's like, well, I think we need to reevaluate your conference. And then she came back and she was like, we're revoking your vendorship. And I'm like, well, that's
Okay, so
interesting.
we're skipping way ahead. We're skipping ahead like 18 years here. So
Yeah.
that's why
No,
I was
I'm
like,
just saying how regional centers operate. You
okay.
know, people to get services through their state, it's very difficult. A lot of times, parents are having to sue, you know. So I skipped getting any services through my regional center, and I put all my focus and my attention and literally sold everything that I owned to pay for functional medicine for my son, which was actually the best route to go, in my opinion.
All right. So well let's go back to um the preschool. They didn't want him in preschool. You got the autism diagnosis. So then you put him in, he was in special ed somewhere
He was in a special needs preschool. They're pretty
in
amazing
through
though.
public school.
Mhm.
Okay. And then did he continue to go to stay in special ed?
So Noah had when he went to elementary school, he was given a one-on-one paraeducator.
Okay.
It's like an aide.
Yeah, yeah. So all right. So then he
So
was
he
able
was
to go to public
mainstream.
school. He was, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's get to the functional medicine since you
Yeah.
mentioned that. When did
So
you
as soon
start
as
that?
Noah was diagnosed, the very same day that the
Yes.
school just told me Noah
Hmm.
has autism,
Right.
I had to go back to the office and I saw number 2 Angel. And that was my naturopathic doctor whose office was adjacent to ours. And he was walking
Oh,
down the hallway, blubbering. And he asked me what's wrong. I told him, and he said, no, we'll be fine. You need to go home. You need to do your research because kids are making great strides with biomedical intervention. And I'm like, well, I don't know what that is, but I'm about to learn. So
okay.
I literally sucked the tears back up into my eyes and I
Mhm.
went and I got to work. And I immediately started. So I read books. I went to conferences. I immersed myself in the community of autism, tea talks, parent meetings, whatever. If I can learn something from anybody, I was going to learn it. And we started with the diet, cleaning up the gut. No gluten, no dairy, no soy, no sugar, just real food. And, it was a struggle for a little
I was going
while.
to say, how did that go?
Yeah. I
Because
mean,
that's all they want to eat.
yeah, garbage.
Yeah.
But
Just to help other parents that if they want to try to do this, it is a struggle because that's all the kids crave is the sugar and the carbs, and
but you have to decide at that point who the parent is.
you have to
And
get it all out of the house, though. I mean, that means nobody can eat
you.
it.
So I did.
Mhm.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I packed it all in boxes. I gave it to my neighbors here if you want it. And the
Mhm.
rest food bank. Um, and I just started cooking. Now I was raised, if it came in a package, a can, or a box, I ate it. I mean, my mom was a single full-time working mom. So half the time we were making ourselves like mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese, yeah.
And it horrifies me what I ate as a child and a teenager.
Yeah, now that you know, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a matter of, you pull out a little bit of the reward system, right? Okay, so Noah liked French fries. Let's just go off the French fries. I didn't deprive him of it, but I made them at home. I baked them in, olive oil. And I'm like, do you want the French fry? And hey, but you got to eat the broccoli. Okay, we can sit here all day. You want the French fry? Eat the broccoli. And I had food thrown at me. I'm telling you, but it's like an exercise, and it's like an exercise for the brain, right? So we need to teach our children that you can get a healthy reward, right? It doesn't, don't use candy. So ABA therapy kills me. They use candy, and ABA is applied behavioral analysis. And I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
So
you got to do this, you get an M&M. Yeah.
Or a toy. It could be a toy. I mean, Noah didn't get any sugar whatsoever for at least a year. And our Easter baskets had toys. His Christmas stockings had toys. There was no chocolate, candy, nothing. And I was on this journey with him. I say the family should be eating exactly what you want that child to eat as well. So,
do you have other kids?
I have a daughter.
I forgot to ask you that in the beginning.
Yeah, I've been in her life since she was 3. So
is she older or younger?
She's older. She's 25 now.
Okay, so she was 5 when he was born.
Yeah, she was 4.
4. Yeah. Okay. All right. So she had to go on this diet as well.
When she was in our home. So
she was
with us full time. We had her on the weekends, and half the summer and stuff like that. But yeah, then she just got to learn to eat, which wasn't really, I mean, I would make things that were kind of disguised as garbage food. But I would make my own chicken nuggets.
I was just going to ask, did you make your own chicken nuggets?
I would buy the Ian's brand fish sticks. So they did have Ian's back then, which is gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free. It wasn't corn-free, unfortunately, but now, knowing what I know now, because I didn't know that then, that corn is just not really good option, but for the most part, I would disguise things the best I could. There was no bread at all, because I tried back then to make gluten-free bread. They even called it Noah's bread. And I was like, this is horrible.
Okay.
It was so horrible. They've come a long way in recipes, and they have come a long way in regards to what they put on the shelves for gluten-free and dairy-free.
Oh yeah. It's such a big thing now.
So, and people didn't know what gluten was back then. And so I tell people I've been gluten-free since before gluten-free was cool.
Yeah.
I'm serious about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think about it, my son probably saved my life as well. With all my underlying conditions, I'd probably be in worse shape. But he's, just cleaning out the diet, Noah just started coming to. He started to talk, put words together. And the pediatrician that was like, that diet stuff doesn't work. And I beg to differ.
Right.
And from there, we had to do some supplementation. He was very depleted because he did have a lot of yeast in the gut from all the antibiotics he had been on. So he was an ear infection baby. So those well baby visits can cause those ear infections as well. And being on antibiotics almost.
You mean the things they give them at the well baby visits?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not just going to visit the doctor, just so people understand what we're really saying here. Yeah. Can cause ear infections. Okay. And then the antibiotics cause yeast in the gut, you're saying?
Yes. Not to say that antibiotics don't serve their purpose at times, but being on them monthly is, ridiculous. But I could tell you, when I removed dairy from Noah's diet, Noah never got another ear infection again. So it was diet, supplementation, and then working
How did you
towards
find out what kind of supplements to give them?
the doctor. So the functional medicine doctor kind of guided me through the whole thing. I mean, half the stuff I gave Noah at that time, I had no idea the rhyme or reason. I just trusted, had Noah's best interest. And
Did you ever test his folates?
I did, yeah. So Noah did have folate deficiency.
He did not? I'm sorry, you cut out.
He did have folate deficiency.
Oh, he did have the folate deficiency. Okay.
He does have MTHFR, so do I.
Okay.
And so yes, we did methyl B12 injections.
Okay.
And from there,
and that I learned from Honey, you need to also cut out the dairy, which you were already doing, but this is just for anybody else because leucovorin was the big
gluten, dairy, and soy. Soy is a similar makeup to dairy.
Okay.
And then sugar is a big culprit.
Yeah. But I'm just saying there's a whole like page on Facebook for leucovorin because, when that came out, everybody's like, oh, that's the cure. I'll put my kid in leucovorin. And I'm like, yeah, but that's only one piece of it. You need to also change the diet.
It's a tool for the toolbox. That's what we say. It's another tool for the toolbox. And anybody who's out there saying that anything is a cure at this point is giving false hope. And I don't agree with that because I threw a million things at my son before I got functionality. And I don't even go around saying I cured my kid. But that I led him to a functioning life by healing his underlying conditions because it's biological. He had underlying conditions and then he had pre-genetics like MTHFR, mitochondrial disorder, stuff like that, that led to, that predisposed him to injury.
Right.
Environmental injury.
In autism world, there's a lot of talk about the MTHFR. Can you explain that a little bit, what it is?
So when you have that MTHFR gene, it means that you don't methylate properly. If you do not methylate properly, your body is not properly getting rid of toxins. So again, when you go in for those well baby visits and you're getting a whole bunch of those special things all at once, and usually typically anywhere from like 5 to 7 at once, and your body doesn't, is not going to detox. It's not going to get rid of those toxins as well as others that do not have those pre-genetics. So testing for pre-genetics is super important to see if they're predisposed.
Because apparently the MTHFR is pretty common. A lot of people have it.
Yeah.
So it's something that you need to really, how do you check to see if you have it?
There's an MTHFR test.
But how is it done? Do you know?
Typically blood.
Okay. Yep. They can't do like a cheek swab or something like that.
That I don't know.
Well, how did you find out that you have it and that your son has it?
Blood test.
Okay. Yeah, I just try to share as much information as I can. So, I feel like parents should be checking to see if their kids have that before they go and inject them with a bunch of chemicals in their body. So
agreed. Yeah. And they should know what's in those chemicals that are going in their body. And they should know of the chemicals that are going into their body. Right. They should know if they have strong religious beliefs that there's aborted fetal tissue. There's so much in there. And, the one that they label a vitamin that's given at birth has the biggest black box warnings of any of them. That's super important to know. Oh, but they call it a vitamin. Isn't it a vitamin? Well, when a baby is born, God didn't screw up when he gave them low vitamin K levels. And so these things, it's, I say you have to just trust Mother Nature and how our bodies are designed and stay away from that because it's got all kinds of bad stuff in it. So removing environmental toxins. And environmental toxins can be so many different things. They can weigh from those things that you receive at the well baby visits to pesticide exposure to volatile organic compounds, which could be in, fresh paint, everything that
I was going to say, you're talking my language. I know what VOCs are because what I do for a living is I help people choose paint colors. And I worked at a paint store for 11 years and I wrote a
you can
book. I
get
wrote a
zero
book on how to choose
VOC
paint
paint.
colors. And I have a whole page on VOC paints and low VOCs. And yeah.
Yep. I have in my house, I have zero VOC paint. I had
Yes.
my whole house when it
Yes.
was painted, and it is not much more than regular paint in cost.
It's about $10 a gallon, but it's worth it because it also gets rid of the odor as well. I'm sensitive to
They also
chemicals.
have zero VOC carpet.
Yeah, that's good to know too, because a friend of mine owns a carpet store with a whole showroom, and she wanted me to come and work for her for a little while, and I couldn't take it. My eyes were swelling up and feeling itchy, and I knew I was allergic to something in that place. I didn't know they
Air
had the
fresheners and candles. So
yeah,
people, oh, kills me everywhere I go when I see or if I go to an Airbnb and they
yeah.
have 50 plugins, I'm like, open
Mhm.
windows.
Yeah,
I'm
they're trying to get rid of the musty smell because if it's old. But yeah, you're right. It should only be like a beeswax candle, right? And have like essential oils in it or something, right? There are or is that wrong? I mean, there are those are
absolutely,
okay, right?
yep.
Yeah, it's just the artificial ones that you buy in the store. And
And it's
I always tell
easy.
my daughter that the Airwick plugins, I'm like, don't use those.
Yep. No, they're so
Mhm.
bad. And unfortunately,
Perfume.
perfume
I
and
just instinctively
cologne.
know perfume is bad because it makes me gag,
Yep. I
from the
can't,
chemicals.
I can't handle perfume. Take
I cannot.
your favorite essential oil, and I
Mhm.
promise it'll do you a world of good. Just,
Mhm.
that's what they used to do way, way, way back in the old days, was
Sure.
little
Yeah.
essential oils. But removing environmental toxins from the home, and that's a laundry list of things.
Yeah.
I did label a whole bunch of them in my book in regards to what people should remove from their home.
Oh, you did?
My
Okay.
cookware is a big one. If you have Teflon cookware, I
Oh
want you
yeah,
to
Teflon.
go throw it out. Don't even give it away.
Yeah.
Don't even give it to, Goodwill.
Yeah.
Throw
No, throw it out. Yeah.
it.
Aluminum foil, I get on that kick with people too. I'm like, do not stop using aluminum pans, just because you don't want to do the dishes, right? And don't cover your food with aluminum foil. You don't want aluminum to touch your
I'm here to
food.
tell you, if you have, they typically have stainless steel pans with aluminum caps or copper caps or whatever,
Mhm.
that when you heat up a pan, stainless steel is porous. So it opens up and that aluminum comes right up into your food. And
Mm.
you will taste it if you do a baking soda test. I have Salad Master pans. They are titanium, and it's an investment. It's like buying a refrigerator. You know, if your refrigerator breaks down, are
Yeah.
you gonna just go without one? No, you're gonna go buy it. This is what cooks your food.
Yeah.
So I would say be careful what it is that you cook on parchment paper.
Yeah.
So much safer. And do your research into cleaning products, household products. EWG.org is really good in regards to Dirty Dozen, Clean 15, and all the household products, what's safe,
Hmm.
and they give them ratings.
Hmm.
Um, so that's a really good source for families. But
Right. Yeah, I've gotten into all of this since the summer. I have a friend that she was coaching me on all this stuff as well. I changed my shampoo, my laundry detergent, my what I wash my dishes with, my cleaning stuff. So I knew about it with paint, but
do
I
the
I
app.
was not pulling the trigger with all the rest of the stuff at home. So I cleaned that all out. But somebody might be listening to this and saying, well, but what does this have to do with autism? Right? So it has to do
Because you
with
can have pre-genetics, and
Mhm.
that's the loaded gun, and then you have environmental triggers, and that's what pulls the trigger. So to me, these kids already have a toxic load, and adding to that toxic load isn't making things any better for them. So what we want to do is we want to reverse that toxic load, and then we want to start cleaning out the body from the toxins that are floating around, to get them to a functionable state.
So, would you say if all these chemicals are in their environment, that it's their body is constantly trying to fight it off, almost like in a constant state of fight or flight, like trying to fight off all these chemicals invading their body.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. And it
And
causes oxidative stress in the body, right? Breaks down the immune system, which we're trying to build up the immune system, because these kids have weaker immune systems.
Mhm.
So you do what you can with what you can. And
So you found all of this out by going to your biomedical doctor plus doing research.
correct. And going to conferences. I went to every conference I could ever go to back then.
Mhm. So you
Dan
changed the diet, changed the environment. And so then what happened with your son?
Noah started to come too. I mean, he's 20 now, almost 21, and he lives a fully functioning life. He has no limitations. He works, he drives, he travels the world on his own. Last year he went to London, Japan, New York, Florida.
Wow. So not only he didn't just start getting a couple of words back.
He's got full functionality, yeah. I mean, he's got like anxiety stuff, but I think that has to do with too much screen time and also what he's eating now.
Mhm.
Because, he got to an age of he's working all on his own. He buys his own food. He won't eat what I ask him to eat. And I say, I love you, son. You're on your own perfect journey. And I let go and I put you in God's hands.
Mhm.
So, I mean, he's a good kid. He's really solid kid. He's very loving. He does go to the gym and see a trainer like 3 days a week. That was one thing I could get him to agree to do, but he wants to eat crap. He stopped drinking sugar, which was
Mhm.
good.
Mhm.
I can't say his meal choices are the best.
I'm just sitting here in my head thinking, is this going to cause a regression if he starts doing this? Is his body going to have trouble fighting this stuff off, or do you think he's just permanently he's
Health issues. Yeah, 100%. He has health issues. Yep.
but and so I'm trying to figure out what happened, like at what age, like where did you see this change? Where so I'm assuming they removed the autism diagnosis at some point.
Well, I've never taken Noah back to get re-diagnosed.
But what about in school though? I mean, he had a para following him around in school. Did he keep that?
He had accommodations all throughout school. So
Mhm.
to the school system and the school district, you don't get a diagnosis and then lose a diagnosis.
Right.
You have the diagnosis. The
Right.
diagnosis is you. It's your life. It becomes you.
Mhm.
And Noah just got to a point in his life where he manipulated the system and used it to his advantage. He was like, oh, I get a base course and I can just do my homework in here and I have assistants. And if my teacher ticks me off, I can just leave and go to my base course. And so I always said, in a way, it crippled him to have that specific service, but he did just fine. Luckily, before, I mean, he graduated during COVID times, but before they really dug their heels in on the mandates here in California, because Noah had a medical exemption since 2015 that was grandfathered in, and he had an IEP. So the combination of the two, I didn't have to worry about those things, about any mandates of him being in school or not being in school. So we got through that. There was a lot of brainwashing,
What do you mean?
uh, believing a narrative,
In school?
Oh yeah,
Oh, you mean about COVID?
about everything, about all of it, the story of it, we agree to disagree. And then he says, "I love you, Mom." He doesn't support Kennedy and anything he's doing. He doesn't support nothing.
Oh,
Anything that I stand for
yeah,
or represent.
he doesn't.
I love you, Mom.
Well, okay. Well, you live in
I
California,
disagree with,
so yeah,
and that's okay.
yeah.
I'm happy that he has a voice and he has an opinion and
Hmm.
that he's able to have that, right?
Right, right.
But overall, I feel these kids are very susceptible to brainwashing. He was watching CNN news every day in school.
In school? Why?
That's what I said. And I didn't know it until he came home during COVID days. And then I said, well, wait a minute, I'm going to call an IEP meeting. And so I called an IEP meeting and I said, I'd like to put a few things in my son's IEP. And they're like, what? And I said, no news, not CNN news, not any news.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, why? I said, because it's brainwashing him and you're manipulating my kid into believing a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
So no news. And they're
No,
like,
you should be teaching him math and science and things like that, not watching the news.
we use it for current events. Well,
bull.
you get to find something else to use for current events.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
It's challenging. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then I told them, no critical race theory. And again, they're like, well, why? I said, because my kid is confused enough.
Mm-hmm.
That's just going to confuse them even more. And, the third one was, if one of those buses pull up out front and they want to inject a bunch of poison into my kid, I said, I will burn this place down.
Mm-hmm.
So can you add that in there too? Oh, and they're like, well, why would that happen? We would never do that. And I'm like, oh, just wait. Oh, just wait. This was the first year of COVID.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Fun times.
How did he do socially in school?
Did
he have friends?
He struggled when he was younger. And then this one kid who was like the popular kid, he did all the sports, he was super popular, kind of took Noah under his wing.
Oh.
And they became best friends. And he was
There's
always
another one of your angels.
Yes. He was always protecting Noah.
Oh.
They'd sit Michael next to him in class, and it was just he was a godsend as well. Absolutely.
I wonder why. I wonder why he decided to, become friends with him like that.
Well, I also know his parents. His parents are just wonderful human beings, and I see that they would raise their kid to be sympathetic and loving, and they did. They're just good people, all around good people. So he was sitting next to Noah in second grade class, and Noah would have his meltdowns and behaviors and stuff. And even when the aide couldn't control him, Michael would calm him down. It was like the sweetest thing ever.
That's cute.
Awesome to witness.
So it goes back to when they were little.
There's other crazy kids that were just brutal to Noah. And I was always fighting to protect my kid. And then you have a school system or a aftercare system that loses your child and never calls you to tell you that they lost him for several hours. And every known adult was looking for him.
But they didn't want you to know.
No.
Where'd they find him?
In a park adjacent to the schoolyard.
On
a hillside, playing in the sticks, apparently.
Okay. Well, how'd you find out?
So I went and picked up Noah one day, and it was therapy day. So I was always kind of in a rush when it was therapy day. I had to get Noah to occupational therapy. And so I picked him up and I'm like, how'd Noah do today? And she's like, well, Noah wasn't very good, and walks off. And I'm like, So I walk over to where Noah's at, and he's got one of the aides standing over him. And I'm like, so, can you explain to me what happened today? And they're like, he's like, they didn't call you? No. Really? No. And he's like, we lost your son. I'm what? And he's like, yeah, we went to the schoolyard and to play on the playground, and Noah drifted off and went to the park adjacent to, so you had to cross the field, and there was a gate that went into the park, and Noah wanted to go to the park. I used to always take Noah to the park when he was little. So
where's his para? Obviously not paying attention.
No, that was after school. So there was the Y after school, and I was trying through the regional center to get him a paraeducator for after school care. And I was fighting with them, and they were like, well, we'll do a shared aid, but we won't do a one-on-one. So we have to find somebody else with special needs that needs it. And when that comes about, then we'll give you the aid.
Okay.
And so I didn't waste any time though. I pulled Noah from school. My nephew ended up moving in with us and taking care of Noah after school. So I pulled him
Okay.
out, and
You pulled them
eventually
out of all school or just the after school program?
just the after school
Yeah. Okay.
program. And then there was a case where he was in second grade and no, third grade, first grade. And a year after that had happened, and the teacher kept pulling his aid away from him. I said, "You can't do that." And I'm volunteering in class, and I'm like, "You can't do that."
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "I'll keep that in mind." And then I watch as I'm volunteering, and she pulls his aid away to pass out papers. And there goes Noah. And
Oh,
door.
geez.
And then nobody sees him. I'm following him and he's walking towards the park. Noah just wants to go to the park and play. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Noah, oh,
Mm-hmm.
hi, Mom. No, you have to come back into class." And he's like, "Okay, Mom." So he comes back, he sits down, and I look at the teacher and I'm like, "You, come here." And she's like, "Excuse me?" I said, "Well, you can come out here or I can scold you in front of your whole class. It traumatized every 6-year-old child in here." And she was like, "You can't volunteer in my class anymore." I said, "That's okay, because my son will not be back to school until it is safe for him to come back to school." So I did that quite often. I pulling my son out if I
Mm-hmm.
felt he was unsafe,
Yeah.
because I had a wonderful functional medicine doctor who would just write a letter and say, "He can go back to school when it is safe to do so. But
Mm-hmm.
right now it's not. So I'm writing a medical letter excusing him from school." Then they lose money. They lose money for the paraeducator, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And so immediately my husband gets a phone call. "Oh, we can move him to the other first grade classroom."
Oh, the teacher didn't want him anymore. Okay.
No, I said I want him removed. And they
Okay.
told me no. And
Okay.
I said, "Well, my son will not be back
Okay.
until it's a safe environment for him to do so."
Right.
So they finally found a way to switch him into another class,
Okay.
and it all worked out.
Right.
Same, like similar situation in middle school where the paraeducator, the aide, which are just glorified babysitters,
Mm-hmm.
by the way, they have high school diplomas and no training,
Mm-hmm.
and they're left with special needs children.
Mm-hmm.
Was like threatening my kid. I pick up
Oh.
Noah, he's like shaking.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Yeah. No.
it's like
Yeah,
quite the
those are the ones that I have a problem with. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Because they think that all the kids need is a little bit more discipline and, you know,
No, this was an 18, 19-year-old girl,
yeah.
except writing in the parent log, which is our communication.
Yeah.
"If Noah continues to disrespect me," which Noah was just
Uh-huh.
saying, "I don't want somebody following me around. I'm
Mhm.
fine." Because I
Right.
tried to have he was so high functioning, he didn't
Yeah.
need the support anymore, but they
Hmm.
wouldn't remove it. Once I
Right.
had it, they just would not remove it.
Hmm.
And so she puts in there, she's like, "If Noah continues to disrespect me, I'm going to have to discipline him to the fullest extent." And I'm like, she wrote that down.
That's what I'm saying. They think they need more discipline. Right. Right. Because she was
So,
raised to smack kids around when they don't, when they don't behave. And that's the problem. That's
and I went in,
yeah.
I barged into the vice principal's office and
Hmm.
I threw the log onto his desk and
Hmm.
I said, "So tell me how your glorified effing babysitter is going to discipline my child."
Hmm.
And he's like, "Oh no."
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I had hired an advocate at that point and to represent Noah. And she was wonderful. She was a bulldog. She scared me a little bit. Her son is actually on our board. He's the autistic individual on our board, which is
Mm.
really, it's great how things kind of come full circle. So
Yeah.
many years I hadn't heard from her, and
Right.
then we did. And then her son was our autism speaker last year.
Hmm.
And she's like, "You took a kid who had no confidence and gave him a world of confidence. So
Hmm.
much that he's living in Costa Rica by himself now.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, super cool.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So now we're getting a little taste of the warrior mom. Doesn't take
Oh
any
yeah, I
crap
could
from
sit
people.
here all day and give you the laundry list of stuff. And when people ask me what's the hardest thing about being an autism parent, I said ignorance is
Mm,
people's ignorance and how they treat us, right? Or the situation.
mhm.
I remember the whispers, I remember all of it, you know, the kickback, the arguing, and then when I decided to go a functional medicine route, it's like, oh, you know, nobody, they're like, you're crazy,
Yeah, they
crazy.
don't think it's real medicine. It's just a bunch of woo-woo, whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
how crazy am I now? Now I'm on a committee for the Interagency Autism Coordinating Committee, which is
Hmm.
going to be a part of advising HHS on policies.
Yeah.
I love that.
So let's not jump ahead. So tell me about the book. When did you write it and what prompted you to write it?
So I always wanted to write it, but I never gave myself enough credit that I could write a book and get it out there.
Hmm.
I feel everything happens in its own divine purpose, and I do say divine. So the first year of COVID 2020, I went on this retreat, and I met this woman who had just wrote a bestseller. And I'm like, wow, I've always wanted to write a book about my journey with my son to help other families so they didn't have to go through what I went through. And she said, so what's stopping you? And I just, again, I feel it's one of those God moments that he's like, hey, and I met her literally the last day. And, you know, we're still great friends to this day. But from there, she's like, you know, maybe getting a literary coach or something. So I did. And I just started researching and reading books on how to write a book. And I got screwed over by my first publisher. But luckily got the majority of my money back. And then I eventually found a really good literary coach, and she assisted me on my journey. And you know, she introduced me to publishers. She was my editor for my book. Pretty much did everything. She didn't come at an affordable price, but
So you published through a traditional publisher then. You didn't self-publish.
I didn't self-publish. I
Mhm.
wanted the world to get it. So if you want the world to get your book, then you have to use a publisher. So Morgan James Publishing, they're pretty good. I really like them. At least I was able to, I will always own my artwork and the rights to my book. So nobody can take that from me.
Mhm. Okay, we'll talk a bit more about that off camera. Okay, so when did the book come out?
So I started writing it, or I started researching, it was like 2020. I started writing it in 2021.
Mhm.
And then it's quite the process to get a book out. So
Mhm.
2022. And then the ebook came out January 2023. And then the actual hardcover came out April of 2023.
23. Okay. And then what? Did you get any kind of interviews, podcast, radio, that kind of stuff to
So
promote the book?
initially, I had my husband and I started going to all the Reawaken America tours. We started talking to a lot of the speakers, and this is where I was getting endorsements. And so I got Kennedy's endorsement.
For the book?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I got Dr. Andrew Wakefield's. We went to a conference to get in front of Del Bigtree. You know, all these wonderful things happened. You know, we became good friends with Dr. Christiane Northrup. So it was going to conferences, health and freedom, you know, events, and so on and so forth to really get in front of these people to talk to them. And then eventually, when the book came out, I was given a speaking spot at Reawaken. And that was at first, I had borrowed time. My husband had a speaking spot. So he gave me, you know, like half of his speaking spot.
What was
And
his about?
so my husband spoke on like disaster management, like what the disasters in the world and how they're responding to it, right? How the government's responding to disasters. So,
Okay. So nothing autism related.
no. And a lot of it was like medical doctors talking about injuries, that were going on during COVID times and speaking out about what happened during COVID.
Mhm.
And, so it was great relationships that we made, which was just fantastic. Now we're good friends with Bobby Kennedy and, really good friends with Del Bigtree. So I usually go on his show every year. And it's all about creating awareness. So then 2 years ago, I started the conference and the nonprofit organization. And I wanted parents to be able to learn the facts, but also how, the solutions on how to address those underlying conditions, how to heal their child's body. And that's just been my mission ever since. The book it's a great tool. It's great for parents especially whose childs are newly diagnosed, or if they even remotely think their child could have autism, or even a parent who doesn't even, that like a pregnant mother or a mother who has a new baby. I hand them out all the time like candy and be like, would you read this if you knew it might save your child's life someday?
Mhm.
And I haven't had anybody tell me no.
And the book is called Warrior Mom.
Warrior Mom, a mother's journey in healing her son with autism.
Okay.
Not curing or fixing, but healing. And I say that and I specify because, been hammered at sometimes that they're like, oh, you claim you cured your child. I don't claim I cured my child. There's cured is not in my book.
Right. Well, I was one of those moms. That's the whole reason I started my YouTube channel, was because I was ticked off at Jenny McCarthy for claiming that she cured her son. And I said, well, then your son was obviously not as severe as my son. I felt like she must have just had a mild case that a diet could change that. But I was ignorant, I didn't know any better, but I just believed that it was fully genetic and there's nothing you could do to stop the genetics. And, diet might be able to help a little bit, but not cure something that was genetic. Um, it's not until I started doing these interviews and talking to other parents and hearing their story and just seeing everything that went down during COVID, all the propaganda and, like you said, the brainwashing and everything that was going on. I mean, I used to yell at my TV every time that they used to come on pushing the jabs.
The upside is that a lot of people became aware.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Because you just could see there's an agenda here. There is definitely an agenda going on. And then you just start becoming aware of the fact that big pharma is big business. So I wrote my children's books in 2019, and I was doing all the illustrations in 2020. And when we were during the lockdown, and I used to sit for 12 hours at my table doing all these illustrations, and I would listen to videos and things. And there was a video series that was out about, I don't think it was Vax, it was like a follow-up something. And I think that's the first time I heard Bobby Kennedy talking about it as well. And just hearing them say how doctors have no training in this. It's one day they mention it in medical school, but they really don't know anything about it.
That's changing now.
Correct, but I'm just saying that's around the time I think when I woke up to all this was around 2020, and I was like, all right, this is just a full-on conspiracy. I always tell people I'm a conspiracy theorist, but it's not a conspiracy because it's true. That's when I just realized that this isn't right. It's just not right. And then I started interviewing other parents and then hearing their stories. And I was like, this is craziness. This is just crazy. So now I'm on your side with the whole thing. And anybody that watches my videos, you can see the transition. You can see back when I used to videotape my son, and I talked about the jabs in one of my old videos. And I said, go out and get your kid, their shots because, this is genetic, whatever. And then that's when they were censoring everything during that time. They were censoring every video. They were censoring everybody on Facebook. I lost my Facebook page because I changed my tune and I started talking about Bill Gates and, all these kind of things. I kept posting about it and they pulled my Facebook page down. I lost all of my followers.
So did my husband.
Yeah, I lost all, and I had a business page and a page for an autism page and my personal page. I had thousands of followers, all gone. And then they pulled down one of my YouTube videos for when I talked about it supporting the jabs. But because I mentioned the V word 7 years earlier, they pulled the video down. That's when you start seeing like, this is insane. This is insanity. They are absolutely pushing an agenda, and everybody in the world is falling for it. But not everybody, not people like you. So, yeah.
I don't know. I just I felt very open and trusting, especially being guided by my naturopathic doctor, who even assisted me in finding the right functional medicine doctor.
Right. And I never even heard of functional medicine
Yeah.
before that.
Well, back then they were called DAN doctors, remember? Defeat Autism.
Yes, defeat autism now. Yeah. Yeah. Which I have to tell you, I was never into any of the autism culture, any of it. I never went to conferences. I never did any of it. I was like, it is what it is. And I just send my son off to school, and I figured they were the experts. They knew what they were doing. Just like I felt like doctors knew what they were doing, when they just follow that schedule and you go for your well visits. And I just trusted them, and I figured they knew what they were doing. They were the experts, not me. And I just did what I was told. Now I'm the complete opposite. Complete opposite. All right. So tell me about your new appointment. You mentioned it, but explain it a little bit more.
Interagency Autism Coordinating Committee.
And is that a new committee?
It's not. It's been around since 2000.
Since 2000. Okay, so 26 years. How come I never heard of it?
It was developed under the CARES Act. Yeah, you haven't heard of it because they haven't done anything worth doing or worth noticing, right? So this is a whole new committee that all about change, and we've been fighting for decades and creating that change and creating the awareness. But really, it's all about informing HHS, CDC, FDA, all those organizations under HHS on recommendations for autism, be it research recommendations, treatments, therapies, whatever, certain policies that should be in place. I got to be honest, I'm still learning, because a lot of us are so much about being solution individuals, providing solutions, that we don't get caught up in policy. So it's different. We get to learn. It's a learning curve. And, for me, I'm really excited about the opportunity to have a voice. I've worked very hard. I've studied complementary and alternative medicine. I've worked with families all over the world. And
do you work in functional medicine, like professionally, or it's just that you've just researched as a mom?
I do. I'm a board certified health practitioner. So I was going to go to naturopathic school, and something told me that I was going to have to get those, inoculations, whatever you want to call them, to be able to go through medical school. And
even with functional medicine?
Bastyr, which is a naturopathic school, which is right here in San Diego, is mandating. They mandate them, and they mandated them through since they came out. Well, the COVID ones came out. Something told me, and I'm telling you, I really think that either God just gives me a whole bunch of angels, and there's those voices that just say, don't do it. Something's going to happen, and you're going to have to do that, and it's not going to work out. So I did. I was all scheduled to go to Bastyr, and I withdrew, and it was probably for the better. So then I just went and got like a board certification, and I still feel I can serve my parents well, but I'm 100% all my work these days is in my nonprofit organization, Autism Health, with we do autism support groups once a month, which we have one today. And then every month we do educational webinars on solutions, right? Solution-based. So I usually have a doctor speak every month on a different subject. And then I do the annual conference. So
when do you do that? What time of year?
It's this April. So April 24th through 26th here in San Diego. And they can go to autismhealth.com. And
okay, so it's .com, not .org.
Yeah, it's .com.
Well,
I
some
try,
foundations are .org, so that, yeah, you
yeah,
need to
or
know.
you
Yeah.
can go to healingautism.org. It'll lead you to the same place.
So it's
So
healingautism.org, or what's the .com? Autism
autismhealth.com.
Health. Okay, so one's Healing Autism, the other's Autism Health. It's backwards.
Well, my healingautism.com emails to have a tendency to just go to people's spam. So I
Okay.
purchase another domain
Okay.
to for my emails to get through to people,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Okay.
Because
All
I'm
right.
all about using a professional email.
Okay.
I still get the emails. If somebody sends me an email to
Mhm.
info@autismhealth.com,
All right.
it's just
And
that
so,
I can't send them an email unless I'm just responding to their email. It'll go into
okay.
their. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So what do you do? So you kind of said it. You do every month, you do a call, right?
Yep.
And
So
then
every month we do webinars. We do free webinars.
Mhm.
And we also do autism support groups every month.
Mhm.
And then
Is that mostly people that are in California, or it's anywhere, like on Zoom?
yeah, I have people
Everywhere.
who kind of tune in from everywhere. I have people who come to the conference from all over the world.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Mhm. And what are you focusing on your conference this year?
This year, I'm super excited. So one of our big sponsors, and they're actually funding clinical trial for autism for us, is CPI, Cellular Performance Institute, and they do mesenchymal stem cell therapy. So
Hmm.
they're currently, their scientists are working hard on, finding doing a study on, what are the causes, right? And, does mesenchymal stem cell therapy work for these kids? So I'm grateful to Ed Clay for that. So we're going to be talking a lot about
Do
stem
they
cell.
do the stem cell here in the US? Because I've heard of people
The
flying
stem
off
cell
to other
therapy,
countries to
yes,
do
I
it.
do. They're in Mexico. I
Mhm.
do have a company here that's super clean. I mean, they even check for spike proteins. They pre-screen moms. Their viability testing is over 95% upon administration. They do not use DMSO and cryogenically freezing it because kids typically, if they have autoimmune issues, can have a histamine reaction to DMSO. It's usually 50% or more kids. And so they use trigulose, which is a naturally derived sugar. So they really have had zero contraindications to these kids receiving this is cord blood stem cells. And we've had great success. Uh, so yeah,
Success
there's so
in
much.
what
People
way?
can reach out to me if they have questions about stem cell therapy.
So
They
what kind of success do you see? Like in what way are you seeing success?
their behaviors are better potty training. I keep hearing the potty training thing, more speech, better eye contact. My son personally, motor skills increased. I did go through a whole gut cleaning protocol prior to doing stem cell therapy, which I think is important. Immune system boosting, all kinds of stuff. But I can tell you this particular company, I had like chronic headaches and migraines that I was suffering from. And since I've had it done a year ago, I've had very little, maybe a headache here and there, but I haven't had any issues. And
So
I
you
was
had it
having,
done yourself.
yeah. Mhm.
How was it done?
I'm always the guinea pig. I always want to make sure that,
Yeah,
no, I do. I don't want to recommend anything to
sure, that
anybody
you haven't tried yourself.
without
Yeah,
trying it myself. And I definitely wouldn't give it to my children without
yeah,
trying it myself.
yeah. Well, how is it done? Is it like a blood transfusion or something, or what? How do you do it?
An IV push. It's a quick IV push. Takes all of like it depends how quickly they can get the needle in. And it typically takes less than 10 minutes.
Wow.
Mhm. Yep. Or if they can't get a needle in them, they can always do IM intramuscularly, and then it'll time release just as good. And then this company is also coming out with a nasal spray.
Hmm.
We're
Oh,
super excited. So stem cell therapy is like big, but we also partnered with Dr. Goodnow Enterprises, and he does plasmalogen supplementation to help repair the myelin in the brain, which is the protective coating around the neurons in the brain. And what happens, so that's your white matter. And a lot of these kids with or any individual with neurodegenerative disorders, it just shows depleted white matter in the brain. So that white matter is that protective coating. So these plasmalogen supplements have actually helped repair and rebuild the myelin sheath over the neurons to, help get more functionality, more speech, more, I mean, it's phenomenal what Dr. Goodnow is doing.
What do you think is the cause of the rise in the autism over the years? Because my son, he'd be 35 now, so he was born in 1989. That was the year they started to put the needles into mercury. But back then it was 1 in 10,000 kids. And then so you
In
watch
89, it actually went up to 1 in 1,000 because they tripled the dosage of inoculations. So after 1986 Act, which released any liability to all vaccine manufacturers and anyone who administers.
That was that the Reagan era back then? That's when they signed off and said that nobody can sue the pharmaceutical companies. Is that what we're talking about?
I love Reagan. Yeah, I do feel like probably his hands were tied. I'm hoping, but and I would love to see that retracted.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Nobody can hold them accountable. They can do whatever they want. It's awful.
You're right. In 1989, it was they tripled, and it went from 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 1,000, and then
that's a big jump.
In 2000 or somewhere around 2000, more was added, and now Kennedy's brought it back to 11, which was probably early 1983. I think was 12. I don't agree.
What are you talking about?
The recommendations now, the schedule of recommendations.
We're talking about the schedule of the jabs.
Yeah.
Right.
So now it's back down to 11 instead
of it was up to what?
72.
72. Yeah. I mean, because I've just seen the illustrations of the babies, and one has what it used to be.
Well, then
and then the other one is like then they go all the way around the whole baby. So many.
There were also flu ones and COVID ones that were recommended at one time, and then it was up to 90 something, right? And then those were taken away, and then it was left with 72, and then now the recommendation, unless you live in the state of California, because Newsom doesn't go according to government recommendations, but could still hold manufacturers accountable. Right, because there was a stipulation in that 1986 Act, and that was that they had to be recommended by the CDC.
What had to be? You mean the jabs had to be recommended by the CDC for it to what? Not be held accountable, and you can't sue them?
Correct.
So that does not give them incentive then for the CDC to just recommend them, so that then they don't have to be held accountable? Makes you wonder who's in bed with who. Let's just keep opening up another can of worms. Okay. So you've been appointed to this committee. Have you what have you done so far? Like, have you gone to DC for this, and like, do you have any meetings? Like, how do they do this?
Our first meeting is in March.
Oh, okay. All right. So you haven't.
There's only three days a year we meet.
Okay. And
then we're working on being able to meet in subgroups after, but that has to all be approved. There's a lot that's not approved, so we're working out the kinks and the details.
What's the committee called again?
It's the Interagency Autism Coordinating Committee.
Okay. It has nothing to do with, isn't it under the health organization or something, or no?
Under HHS, yes.
It is. Okay. All right. Yeah, because I know Honey Renicella is on this committee as well. Yeah. And Elizabeth Bonker, who I've not been able to interview. I've talked to her mother, but she's just too busy flying around the world talking about spelling. And then there's another Caleb.
Yeah.
He's another speller as well, like Elizabeth. So that's exciting that they put 2 spellers on the committee as well. So they have they're on the spectrum as well. So
I think it's important to have the input of an individual on the spectrum. Like I have an autistic individual on my board, and I value his opinion because, I don't pretend to know what they deal with on a day-to-day basis, right? So I think having that inside
Yeah.
view, opinion is important.
Yeah.
So
That's been one of the criticisms of Autism Speaks, is that they don't have anybody with autism on any of their boards or anything. And that could be old. That could be old
they
news.
have
Now,
millions.
I think they do now. I think that was their criticism, so that's why they've put people on now. I think. I don't know. I don't pay much attention, but I think it was a smart move, to make sure that
Absolutely.
people on the spectrum on the committee. So. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. All right. So we've got your autismhealth.com or healingautism.org. And what's the email address?
So info@autismhealth.com is
Okay.
the best email. All those get to me.
Okay. All right. Terrific. All right. Thank you so much, Tracy, for being here. I appreciate you taking some time out for me today.
Absolutely. Thank
All right.
you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it and it helped you gain a new perspective. If so, be sure to hit the like button and follow this channel to hear or see future episodes. Please visit our website at robbiesworldbook.com, where you'll learn more about Robbie's World Foundation. We do retreats for moms and events for families. You'll learn more about our book series, Robbie's World and His Spectrum of Adventures, which was featured on the Today Show for World Autism Awareness Day. The series has 12 stories about a little penguin with autism based on the life of my son Robbie when he was a little boy. Kids of all ages and abilities love to read the rhyming stories. Meanwhile, they'll be learning things about autism like stimming and eloping. If you'd like to actually see videos of Robbie and get to know him, visit our YouTube page, Robbie's World, and scroll all the way back to the beginning, and you'll see videos of him, and you'll see how this all got started.
Thank you for joining us today. Be sure to join us again on our next episode of Spectrum Perspectives.